People are posting in a panic because apparently the preteens have extended their territory into Sephora. Beauty gurus beware, the 10-year-olds are done with dolls and now they're after your luxury makeup brands. My For You page has been flooded over the past few days with Sephora employees and customers complaining about stampedes of children that are apparently terrorizing stores. The main accusation is that these young girls are trashing makeup displays, making tester smoothies by mixing a bunch of serums together like evil little alchemists, and creating massive messes for staff members to clean up. Personally, I'm not really interested in going anywhere near these little germ factories, the testers, not the children, to be clear, because the thought of putting product on my body that hundreds of other people have touched makes me want to gag. But shoppers are pretty upset about the glamorous crime scenes the next generation of beauty influencers are leaving behind in their favorite makeup store.
These little girls at Sephora are unhinged. I obviously saw these girls stealing. They had calculated over like $700 of products taken by these little girls.
And then they started like mixing stuff with the drunk elephant tester. Then they start opening up the packaged items that you buy and they start mixing those. The packaged items that we're supposed to buy, they're mixing them, using them, and then putting it back into the package.
She walks past me and like hits me with her back. I was like, you can at least say excuse me. She's like, well, I tried to, but apparently you're deaf. And I start feeling like this box like rubbing on my back. And I turn her around. I'm like, can I get some personal space? And then she goes like, oh, you're just in my way. We're in line.
Many Sephora employees are also coming forward with nightmarish customer service stories involving tyrannical 10-year-olds rudely demanding out-of-stock items and being disruptive.
This little girl came up to me, obviously asking if we had the Drunk Elephant Bronzy Drops. This was the time when they were so incredibly viral that they weren't in stock literally anywhere. So I told her that no, we didn't have them, but I have some really good dupes or alternatives that I could show her if she'd like. This girl looks me dead in the eyes and goes, are you effing kidding me? She looks at me, she's like, no, I don't want an alternative, I want the Bronzy Drops.
So she helped herself. She took the plastic off one of the brand new bottles and started spraying it. So I obviously had to damage that out, and I asked her to not do it again. And that, she wasn't happy with the way I said that. She asked me if we had any more of the Bronzing Drops. I told her, we actually haven't had the Bronzing Drops in a really long time. They sell out really quick. And she goes, none of you have it. And I pulled it out the box. And she goes, can I hold it? And I was like, well, I could just cash it out. You're going to have it in a second. And she goes, I want to hold it.
These kids all seem to be particularly obsessed with the brand Drunk Elephant. I don't know why the elephant is drunk, and I don't want to. What they do on the weekends is between them and their elephant god. My question is, where are these little girls getting the money to buy these products? I mean, I'm assuming they're not coming back from a long shift at the coal mines where their small frames allow them to navigate the cramped tunnels more effectively, so that means mommy and daddy are forking over $40, $50, $70, $80, $90 for all these little white tubes.
So I finished scanning all her products and her total came out to almost $900. The mom is furious and the little girl is just looking at her like, what? Like, yeah, I'm gonna spend $900. Like, I don't know what you're looking at. The mom goes, take something out. The little girl lost her mind. She's like, no, I'm not taking anything out.
Her mom was like, do you really need two of the same ones? It's like $80 each. She was like, Mom, I need it. And she starts flipping out and her mom was like, oh my God.
As you can probably tell, this issue is mainly affecting a particular tax bracket, but little girls who don't have parents making six figures also likely are being influenced. They just have to save up their allowance to buy one serum at a time. The average Sephora enjoyer's life used to be simple, but now a quick trip to the store apparently means competing with hordes of fifth graders flexing their parents' cash for limited edition items. Some people are less worried about the sanctity of Sephora and more worried about the damage these young girls might be doing to their skin, specifically with anti-aging retinol creams that are not only completely unnecessary for preteens, but can be incredibly harsh and cause irritation.
I just died a little. Why does this adorable 11-year-old need makeup, and the skincare routine, which is more complicated than mine.
One time, this girl came in with her mom, and she was obviously very young, okay? And she came in with a screenshot of baby facial. If you do not know what baby facial is, it is an extremely strong glycolic acid peel, alright? It's a chemical exfoliant. So then I ask, have you ever used a chemical exfoliant before? She proceeds to tell me that she uses the ordinary peel mask daily. 15-year-olds, they come in with chemical burns because they're using it daily.
The irony of 10-year-olds using anti-aging products that they not only don't need, but may actually be damaging and aging their skin even faster is incredibly depressing. You know what kind of skincare I was using at that age with my khaki capris, aggressively rectangular wireframe glasses, painfully colorful polos, keeping the tooth fairy in business with all my missing teeth? Are you ready? Are you ready to see? Nothing! The only product on my face was anything that happened to stick to it after my mom bathed my ponytail in a cloud of hairspray. But ultimately, back in my day isn't really a sufficient argument because, well, back in my day, 10-year-olds didn't have a skincare routine. Back in my day, you couldn't just take a cell phone wherever you went. Back in my day, the teacher would strike you 30 times with a ruler if you ever tried to write with your left hand. But before we continue, I'd like to take a second to talk about today's sponsor, Liquid IV. Liquid IV's Energy Multiplier drink mix allows you to hydrate and energize at the same time. One Energy Multiplier stick is comparable to 1 to 2 8-ounce cups of coffee, which is someone who doesn't really like the taste of coffee and also gets stuck on the toilet for hours every time I try to drink it. I really appreciate a source of caffeine that tastes like lemon ginger, mango tamarind, or yuzu pineapple instead of coffee. And that doesn't also have personal beef with my stomach. I really love all of the flavors, but the yuzu pineapple has to be my favorite, and with 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, it can help you hydrate faster than with just water alone. I tend to be really productive in the mornings, but start to lose steam in the afternoon, so an energy drink that also encourages me to drink more water is super helpful during those last few hours of my workday. A big thanks to Liquid IV for sponsoring today's video, and for new customers, you can use my discount code FunkyFrogBait or click the link in the description for 20% off at liquidiv.com. As I was doing research for this video, I noticed that the internet's response to the Sephora 10-year-olds has been a little bit questionable.
Yeah, I just got $100 for a gift card, Lululemon leggings, Lululemon belt bag.
Get ready with me while I tell you why I'm literally gonna sue Sephora because their worker ruined my life.
Hey guys, just got back from Sephora, but before I give you my aesthetic haul, look at my non-dupe Stanley. So ASMR, oh my goodness.
Get ready with me while I tell you why my mom is literally the biggest bitch ever. Today we went to Sephora and she only let me pick out like 11 things. Get in my motherfucking face if you want to.
It's just kind of strange to me that the reaction of a lot of content creators has been to get on TikTok to rant about and mock the 10-year-olds. The comedy skits really don't bother me that much. At the end of the day, they're just lighthearted jokes. What actually disturbs me is all the people I've seen whipping out their phones to surreptitiously, that's an unnecessary SAT word for you, record these little girls just walking around the store and posting it. If I was a parent at Sephora and I caught you angling your phone at my kids so you could dunk on them for TikTok views, you would need to grab a full coverage foundation on your way out. The sheer level of hatred towards these little girls online is genuinely scary. Look at some of the suggested searches that popped up while I was scrolling. Sephora 10 years olds get humbled videos. Rude Sephora 10 years olds get humbled footage. Sephora 10 years olds getting yelled at. Hard drives, hand them over. But the big question is, Why? Why are all these girls suddenly flocking to this store and stockpiling expensive makeup products that aren't age appropriate? Well, a theory that many TikTok users are considering is the decline of third places in the US.
The 10-year-olds in Sephora, they're all buying Drunk Elephant and they're ruining my shopping experience. The 10-year-olds have nowhere to go! They have nowhere to go!
The main reason y'all see more preteens and teenagers in stores like Sephora and Ulta is because they have nowhere else to go. Towns have nothing for teenagers to do except for going and walking around stores.
The term third places was coined by Ray Oldenburg in his book The Great Good Place and is used to describe social hubs like cafes, bookstores, bars, etc., where people can escape the stresses of home and work, or in the case of children, home and school. Our society is vacuous of third places that are safe for preteens, because otherwise, how would we have enough room for all of our darling 5-lane highways? No, baby, you know I didn't mean it. You know I love them curvy, dangerous, and approximately 4.17 million miles long. But I don't think this is the full picture. After all, even though many preteen stores like Justice were shuttered and went online after the pandemic, places like Claire's have survived. Why aren't these kids going there?
All their online spaces are being taken over by influencers. There's no flash games anymore on the fucking internet. Toy companies aren't making websites anymore with fun little free games.
I think the lack of online spaces for preteens is a far more serious issue than a lack of physical spaces, considering the percentage of our lives that are spent on the internet now. Flash games being replaced with multiplayer platforms infected with microtransactions and predators. Content on video sharing sites jumping from Cocomelon to Rated R, and online spaces in general being consolidated so much that adults and minors are constantly squashed together. The preteen is dead. Long live the teen. Of course these girls are going to Sephora. That's where all the pretty TikTok ladies they watch do get ready with me's and makeup hauls go. Not Claire's. Aha, the funny YouTube person is blaming all of society's ills on the internet again. How self-aware. What a comfortably vague conclusion. Let me reward them with a like. No. Okay, a like would be nice, but that's not my point. People on TikTok making beauty content for adults are a convenient scapegoat for poisoning our youth, but the real culprits are, drumroll please, never mind, we don't have time for a drumroll, the parents! For not, you know, parenting. Admittedly, a few decades ago, it was a lot less complicated to monitor what your child was exposed to. With on average just one TV per household, it was a lot easier for parents to play goalie with malicious advertisements and explicit content as long as they had the remote in their hand. Now that electronics are basically fused to our phalanges and the default parenting method seems to be a simple two-step protocol, step 1, turn on iPad. Step 2, give iPad to child. Companies and creeps now have a direct line of access to a much younger demographic, while parents are sipping tea on the sidelines. We have to remember, this really isn't about makeup. It's what this sudden interest in this particular kind of makeup indicates about the mental state of this new generation of preteens. The incredibly predatory beauty industry is getting a head start in eroding your daughter's self-confidence before she even knows what decimals are, and that's a problem. Wanting nice makeup is very normal for little girls. I asked my mom about it, and apparently back when she was in middle school, her and her classmates were fiending for Clinique instead of Drunk Elephant. I mean, this is actually her makeup bag from high school, and it's got Clinique all over it. It's stuff like worrying about wrinkles when you still have a bedtime that's horrifyingly dystopian. Of the videos I've seen of parents with their Sephora-obsessed preteens, there's this bizarre sense of helplessness that they give off, like, oh, there goes my crazy daughter, obsessed with collecting these luxury brands she doesn't need and clearly unhealthily preoccupied with her physical appearance. Too bad I'm just a helpless middle-aged adult who can't do anything about it. Actually, yes you can, and it's literally your job. So what can parents do? Well, I don't have a kid, But as someone with 17 years of experience as a child on my resume, here's my suggestion. I think it's important whenever you decide to introduce your daughter to makeup that she understands that many of the standards she will be using those products to adhere to are rooted in the patriarchy. Now, I know a lot of you are clicking away because I said patriarchy, but please hear me out. Let me explain. Stay right where you are! You can teach her to love herself, to love the artistry of makeup, but to also be a critical thinker, specifically being critical of any industry that profits from her insecurities. Unfortunately, women have to often litmus test the reasons for why they do what they do, especially when it comes to their appearance. Teach your daughter to make decisions for herself as an autonomous human in a society that won't always view her that way. Now, before you go all bad cop on your kid, take a second. You shouldn't just barge into your daughter's room after permissively allowing her to collect drunk elephant serums like Pokemon cards and chuck all of her makeup in the trash. That doesn't solve anything. You should sit down with your kid, ask them genuine questions about why they want to use these products, and then maybe put some of it away for her to use when she's older. It might be necessary to curb screen time or to put restrictions on devices if you notice her online activity is negatively affecting her self-image. And by the way, teach your kids to not be rude to employees. I feel like that one's pretty simple. Ultimately, I don't think there's a catch-all solution to the Sephora 10-year-olds. It's clear to me that these young girls are being slammed with a goulash of environmental factors, from massive societal shifts all the way down to the little everyday mistakes of their parents. But before I go, I kind of have to go visit my local Sephora and see how bad it is for myself. Yeah, so I tried to record in there, but there was about 1 million people in the store, and that made me kind of nervous. I didn't want to be a goober with a camera in there, and yeah, it was in fact crawling with preteens. The rumors are true, and about 7 employees asked me if I needed help with anything, which made me very self-conscious and nervous, so I